now at 9:30 on this NewsLink Indiana special.
Bold won 53.1%.
Oh my God!
A new era for Ball State student government.
We're going to be the clear winner anyways.
Bold will soon take over as the next SGA administration. Following weeks of campaigning,
the student government election cycle is officially underway.
Candidates in tonight's debate really talked about a lot.
Tonight we're learning there will be a runoff.
Here we go again. It's debate number 4, the first in the runoff portion. In an election that started with 3 slates, we sit down with the winning one, Bold. As the slate prepares to take office, we discuss issues students are concerned about. A NewsLink Indiana special, A Bold New Era, starts right now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this NewsLink Indiana special. I'm Tyler Brummett. Just 2 days ago, the results for the 2020 SGA election were announced. Bold will be the next student government administration. This comes after a total of, get this, 4 debates, 3 slates, that being Bold, Orem, and Alliance, and 2 rounds of voting. NewsLink Indiana, we've been on top of this since the beginning, and now we're continuing to stay on top of this with this special tonight. So let's go ahead and take a look back. NewsLink Indiana's Brittany Dobbins shows us some of the big moments from this year's SGA election cycle.
Bold is preparing to take office, and it comes after weeks of campaigning. The quest officially started on February 4th with a nomination convention, and then the debates. The first was a debate for students to meet the slates, the second with only presidential and vice presidential candidates, and the third with all members of the slates, the final one for Orem.
Disappointed, for sure. We put a lot of our heart and soul and a lot of our experience into this campaign. But I'm also really hopeful.
And just days later in the voting process, Orem was eliminated.
Do what's best, what you think is best for the university. Definitely see who can actually serve you the best.
It's game time for sure.
But for Bold and Alliance, it all started over.
It's definitely time to go harder.
With all these other organizational visits, we'll be able to prove we are going to be that next SGA slate.
Another debate and then another round of voting.
Oh my God!
With Bold coming out victorious.
I'm really excited and just very grateful. I'm just excited for the upcoming school year to just help out our students, help out our faculty, and help out our university in general.
In Muncie, Brittany Dobbins, NewsLink Indiana.
Wow, and what a ride it has been so far. Now, as you heard there, Bold will be taking over as the next student government administration. The slate stopped by the NewsLink Indiana studio to talk about some of their goals. You will hear from them throughout this special tonight. Here's a little bit of our sit down with Bold. All right, and we're being joined now by the newly elected SGA slate, Bold. First of all, thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's start things off by just introducing yourselves to people who might not know just yet who you guys are.
Gina, would you like to start?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Gina Esposito. I am the Secretary-elect for Student Government Association. A little bit about myself. I am a member of the Ball State debate team. I've been a student government senator for the past 2 years, and I'm involved with the Dean's Collegiate Advisory Council here in the CCIM department.
Hi, I'm Jordan Blythe. I am the Vice President-elect for SGA. I'm a sophomore here with a double major in public communication and political science, and I have a minor in Spanish. And on campus, I'm involved with the speech team, Greek life, and super involved in the Honors College.
I'm Connor Sanborn. I'm the President-elect for Student Government Association. I am involved in some different things around campus here. I am a project manager specialist over at the Digital Corps and Balcom building. I'm also a former secretary and active member of the of Sigma Chi fraternity here. I was the chief of staff. I'm currently the chief of staff of the Student Government Association, working with the current slate.
Hi, I'm Amanda Mistacklum. I am the treasurer-elect. I am involved in Greek life. I'm a Chi Omega, and I do multiple volunteer opportunities. So that's all about me.
Talking about some of your guys' platform points, if you want to just go ahead and go through those, kind of talk about what can students expect when you guys officially take over?
So something we're looking at here is, we will be inaugurated in middle of April. And so that doesn't mean that we're going to start then. We plan to start getting those conversations and a lot of those platform points started once we get back from spring break, because, even though we're not technically inaugurated yet, we want to make sure we can get a head start on those platform points. So going into even this next semester in the fall, you can expect some of those points to already be lots of work done on them and going to be implemented as soon as possible as we can get back on campus.
Okay, and what are some of those points?
One of the ones that I know is really rolling is the cross-cultural dialogues course we're piloting within the Honors College. So it'll be something about titled something like Understanding Race and Becoming an Anti-Racist. And so the foundation's already there within the Honors College. I've been working with Dr. Emily Rudder. We've had like a team of students working on this course. So the syllabus is basically put together. It's just a matter of approval now from the Honors College. And then my end goal with that is eventually to get it as a part of the UCC. But again, the point is to pilot it within the Honors College. And it's looking like that's going to get done next year.
Another thing that we have too is that partnership with the Counseling Center and also to host some type of event. Something that we want to do is really figure out what that issue is going to be on campus next semester and create a platform and a curriculum for it now so that we can start it early in the next semester. So that means working with different diverse organizations here on campus and also working with the Counseling Center Director, Dr. Bill Betts, and starting that relationship and hearing what can we start, what can we do, and just planning for that. So we're not exactly sure what that's going to look like until we have those conversations with Dr. Bill Betts and those other organizations to see what exactly we want to hit and how this is going to look exactly.
Yeah, and I know a lot of those points, you guys brought up in the debates throughout the election cycle, that cycle taking course, over a few weeks. So throughout your campaign, what are some things that you kind of noticed talking with students, some things that maybe you guys didn't necessarily know before your campaign started?
So one thing that I've heard a lot, actually, like on the campaign trail, if you will, is students are very concerned about the lighting on campus, like especially outdoors, for those that do walk home at night. Student lighting has been something that's been talked about in student government before, but has never really been completely followed through with. It's really like paints some highlights towards like what we can really do with that, especially with our motion censored lighting point. If we are successful with having it in buildings, that's something that we would be hoping to expand maybe outside if possible, but additionally that's something that we're going to be looking into is like more lighting outdoors as well as more blue safety lights.
Kind of moving on now, focusing more on some of the things that were talked about during the campaign. I know a big thing that was hit on by all three slates was the lack of knowledge about SGA. You guys were talking about how you were disappointed with the number of voters that came out, not just during the first part of the election, but also during the runoff. So what are some things that you guys are planning on doing to get more people involved with SGA and kind of getting the message out there of what you guys do?
Something that I know that, at least I'm somewhat proud of was we had more students in the runoff election vote this year than we did last year. So that was really cool to see, but obviously we want more students to vote. For me, I felt that we did not do a good enough job as an association to get out the vote. We utilize social media a little, and students may have heard it here and there, but we weren't tabling every day. We weren't sending out things on social media every day. We really could have done a better job. And for me, that means hitting every student that we can get in their residence halls or in the academic buildings or in different student buildings on campus, taking every opportunity to visit chapter meetings, org meetings, from small organizations to big organizations, because every vote matters and every voice matters.
And I know something else that was kind of talked about a lot was that Greek life bill that was passed at the end of last semester. Your guys' thoughts on that, and could there possibly be changes coming to at least that bill, maybe some amendments or anything like that?
So for me, I did not support the bill. I didn't have a vote, so I couldn't really voice my opinion in that way. But for me, it's already been passed in the Student Senate and it's gone to higher ups. And so for me, it's we work from there. Since that is gone, we want to make sure that students who want to write legislation that affects Greek life members or any other organization or group of students on campus, we make sure that they understand that community first and what the implications are of that. So for me, it felt that there was lots of research done on this, but maybe it could have been written a different way. I really give props to the authors of that bill, though, for wanting to do something about sexual assault and hazing on Ball State's campus, but it could have been gone about in a different way. For me, I want to make sure that as a slate, we can show that if students want to write a bill about something or write anything about a certain group of students on campus, we want them to make sure they do the necessary research and they talk with members of that community to make sure that this is the right type of thing that they want and that this is going to positively affect them.
And we'll hear more from Bold later in the show, and much, much more ahead here on A Bold New Era, including reaction from one of the slates that competed against Bold, what Alliance has to say after the break.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to a bold new era. So far you've heard from Bold, but the slate did go up against two other slates, including the slate that came in second. They came up just short in the runoff election, Alliance. I caught up with the now former presidential candidate, Eric Fulton. Let's take a listen. Eric, I know obviously not the result you wanted. Kind of just talk about, the campaigning and what you're hoping to see moving forward.
I first want to say that I'm very, very proud of Alliance. I think that I know that we work really, really hard to, make it to the runoffs and to, get the results that we did see. Moving forward, I definitely hope to see, transparency within the Student Government Association process. I hope to see, senators and the current slate out in the Ball State community trying to hear the concerns and the experiences of students so that we could, be a representative, so that they could be a better representative of the student body moving forward.
Okay, and I know obviously that you had a lot of points that you put out there as well. Kind of going back to that, are you planning on working with Bold and, some of the things that they want to accomplish along with some of the things that you're looking to, have move forward throughout student government?
Yeah, I'm definitely, right now I am, processing, my experience over this entire, month of February. I'm processing this still and doing a lot of reflecting on what it is that we just got finished experiencing. I definitely won't say that I'm not, interested in, working with Bold to, push their platforms and to also push our 3 areas of foci, as they like to say. So, yeah.
And I know you said it wasn't necessarily, like a spur-of-the-moment decision, but I know you guys kind of joined a bit later, and considering the fact that you guys were in a way behind the 8 ball, kind of talk about a testament to your group, the fact that you guys were able to catch off and make it to the runoff.
Yeah, grit, hard work, perseverance, and, being about what we're about. We were really passionate about doing the work that we did, and we're still really passionate about ensuring that work is being done. I think that Alliance, I know that Alliance, for sure. I know that we worked really hard. We were determined. We were motivated. We were driven by the stories that students were telling us, and we're going to continue to work to make sure that, the voices are being heard.
Anything else you want to add, something that I might have missed?
Thank you, voters. Thank you, voters who participated in student democracy, whether you voted for Alliance or Bold. I really, really appreciate that active participation and, what students want to see moving forward. So I'm proud, I'm a little disappointed, but yet still proud and happy that, we did it with no experience. So, yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it, man. All right, and moving on now to a topic that dominated a huge portion of the debates we saw this election cycle. You probably remember this video you're seeing right here from January. NewsLink Indiana's Annie Keister revisits a story that put BSU in the national spotlight.
It wasn't the start Sultan Benson imagined for his final semester at Ball State.
Why am I moving in the middle of class? He legit stopped the class to try to move me. I've been back here on this PowerPoint.
Professor Shaheen Borna calling university police after Benson declined to change seats.
He boasted on how much power he has at Ball State, Borna did, about how he's tenured and he's kind of untouchable.
The response caught on video and later posted on social media. But for the campus community, it was the start to a much bigger conversation. One that led to a walkout just 1 week later.
There really needs to be some type of change, and I like that they came out here with ideas of how they want to change and what they want to happen and what to see happen. I would like to see some of those things happen as well.
We're very excited that we're seeing a Ball State president, faculty, and staff that are really going to make a difference here at this university.
The talk even trickling into this year's SGA debates. In Muncie, Annie Keister, NewsLink, Indiana.
All right, Annie, thank you so much. And during my interview with Bold, I asked them about race relations on campus and how this video started an even bigger conversation. Here's what Bold had to say. Over the course of the campaign, I know you guys were really vocal about the Shaheen Borna incident. All 3 slates, matter of fact, were race relations. It's been a huge topic following that specific incident. It started a much bigger conversation. So kind of just touching on that, On the topic of race relations, what do you guys think is a key to trying to fix some of those issues that students brought up immediately following this incident?
Something that I know that we felt very important was to add to our platform points were those 2 points about diversity. With the intercultural dialogues course and the pushing diversity training for professors. We don't feel that it's very opportunistic to make sure that our professors know how to treat students with respect, and we think it's very important to make sure that happens. For me, as a white man, you know, there's things that I don't recognize that my other slate members absolutely do, and that's where we can all be some checks and balances for each other. So especially with going to visit other organizations, we've heard different things about how they're excited for these platform points, or how we can build upon them or improve upon them. So.
Moving forward, like, diversity training is something that's already a part of the university's Inclusive Excellence Plan. Like, I had a conversation with Dr. Marsha McGriff, who's the Associate VP of Inclusive Excellence. She was just talking to me about it. And so moving forward specifically with that point, it's continuing the dialogue to see how students can stay involved, right? Because, of course, professors and staff members need to know, but also it's letting them know how directly it impacts students, like how their behaviors, how the words they use in the classroom impact students. So making sure a student voice is somehow present in that training is, I think, a route we're definitely wanting to go with that.
Okay, and students who are kind of, you know, looking to make a difference, you know, with this big issue, what are some ways that you would encourage them to make their voices heard, specifically with this issue?
I think definitely reaching out to Big Four organizations, especially like BSA, because they have like access to administrators and whatnot that like everyday students might not necessarily have. And so I definitely think just like getting plugged in with organizations who already have those connections built is a really good way. I love the walkout. Like, the people who organize that I think are absolutely amazing. So like student activism, like that grassroots activism, because they listen to us. You know, student voices are so important, and so if they keep making sure the ball's rolling on stuff like that, like there's no way they can't be heard.
All right, and still ahead here on A Bold New Era, current SGA President Aiden Medellin joins us to discuss the future. Stay with us.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to the shelterpetproject.org and meet a few who are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to the shelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
Problems. The ones nobody talks about at cocktail parties. We go looking for them. No matter the obstacles, no matter the odds, we surround a community's most critical problems, and we fight. United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
It doesn't take a scientist to cure hunger or a fancy economist to create safe housing. It takes imagination, creativity, sweat equity. And I think of kids going to school hungry. Hunger, homelessness. In this land of plenty, seriously? Come on, we could fix this. Help out, or don't. The choice is yours.
Weeknights, NewsLink Indiana brings you the news before you go to bed.
But Friday mornings, you're waking up with Cardinal weather. We've got the latest news headlines.
Freezing temperatures have set in all the way down in Louisiana.
One man dead after flooding in Venice, Italy.
Up to the minute weather conditions.
Cold temperatures are the story this morning.
And of course, lots of fun.
It is not funny.
What on earth is happening there?
I feel sorry for the little guy.
I've got my socks on. Annie with her curly hair, which is actually never curly. Join us Friday mornings at 8 on Facebook Live. And welcome back to this NewsLink Indiana special. A big topic this election cycle was the number of voters, or lack thereof. This runoff election only had a voter turnout of just under 1,900 votes, even less than the first round of voting. It's something we heard all three slates say they're disappointed in.
You can host as many events in Student Government Association as you want, but it's important to know that you need to table and get in contact with students, whether it be in person or via social media.
There's been so many students who just didn't know what SGA was, who didn't know
that SGA existed or who didn't know the purpose of Student Government Association.
I want to know how we can reach out to the students who aren't as involved, give them incentive to vote, because I think that's what's lacking is we don't have an incentive.
And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated. Moving on now, the current SGA administration will soon give their power over to BOLD. And tonight, current SGA President Aiden Medellin discusses the future for the university and the impending change in power. Aiden, kind of talk about those results that came out yesterday. What were your reactions when you heard about them?
First of all, thank you, Tyler. It's nice to see you again. I just want to say I'm happy, first of all, not with just how everybody did, but also the amount of votes that we had, because we had over 200 votes more than last year. I think last year it was around 1,600 votes. In the runoff this year, we had 1,800 votes. I had a really positive reaction to the results from yesterday's election.
Yeah, because I know after the first round of votes came out, you guys were kind of disappointed. Kind of just talk about how we've kind of seen, not necessarily an increase in votes from the first round to the second round, but also
decline historically.
Yeah,
absolutely, and that's something we're not gonna say there isn't a decline. Anybody can look at numbers and know that there's a decline, especially when this year you have the most amount, you have the largest freshman class. So why are we as a university declining in voters when we're increasing in population? And I think that just says a lot about kind of like civic duty as it is in America today. I think it's the same. I don't think as a student government association we should just accept that standard though. I think that the incentivizing that we did, we had allocated a lot of money to our elections budget. So I think utilizing that money in the future is what's going to increase voters. Additionally, I think it's all about kind of how the media plays it. I know that something that my slate had said is that we didn't think that this election got as much coverage when it comes to the Daily News or NewsLink or something, and maybe that's just our perspective. But we think it's all about how you make the election seem. You have to make it seem like a big deal. Incentivizing and really getting out there and pushing people to vote. The physical polling places are just fun.
Okay, and looking ahead now, obviously those results coming out on Tuesday with BOLD getting the win. So kind of just talk about what you hope to see from BOLD when they take over, because obviously you're graduating, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to be here. I think the big thing is you need to stick to what you said. As everybody's heard from the Daily News, I'm not a big fan of platform points. I think that creating your slate and getting a list of promises together in 2 to 3 months is just kind of not inconceivable, but I think it's very difficult for students, especially creating the promises or the platform points and reaching out to administrative offices. Now, I'm not going to say that BOLD can't accomplish all of their platform points. I think anybody can, as long as you put your mind to it.
And one final question for you. Obviously, they're going to be taking over come April 15th. What do you hope people remember about your slate and your time so far? How would you sum it up?
I hope they remember how much we were dedicated. I've seen us all through the best and the worst times. We've all been happy, sad, frustrated, angry, but most of it is positive. I think that we've done as much as we possibly could to serve the students, and I think that completing platform points before we even a slate, before we were even elected, to completing platform points in our very last few weeks, because I think everybody, right when they're about to be done, they kind of they turn off and they don't want to do anything anymore. Whereas I'm kind of ramping up on everybody. I'm like, this is the final home stretch. Like, this is the last possible chance you get to complete the things that you said you would complete for students. So if I want them to remember anything, it's I want them to remember how involved we were. How involved we were outside of platform points, how involved we were in the Senate room, and how large SGA is now. Because last year at this time, if you would come in, I don't think the Senate was this large, whereas now we have a full collegiate caucus. You can barely fit in here. There's a lot more people in the gallery now. So I think that the exposure that we've given SGA, I really hope that they maintain that, and I think that they will. I think they'll continue to try and get really talented individuals to come in and fill the seats as senators. So.
All right, Aiden, thank you so much. Tyler, really do appreciate it. And of course, we heard the debates throughout the course of the election, but we also saw the slates show a little bit of personality too. One of those times was on our sister show, Waking Up with Cardinal Weather. Alliance, they got a chance to show off their skills in presenting the weather, while Orem joined yours truly and made some Valentine's Day cards to celebrate the big day. And finally, BOLD got a bit messy in the kitchen, making some waffles. But I think the best part of the show was what you're seeing right here. The slates, they thought those debates were intense, but that probably wasn't the most intense competition. It all culminated in a relay race with the slates having eggs on spoons inside their mouths. And of course, it was a lot of fun to have them on the show. And the campus community, as we have mentioned several times, they're preparing for Bold to take over. Here are a few final thoughts from the slate. What would your message be to those who might not have necessarily have been Team Bold?
For me, I think that I'm just thankful in general for having that number of voters vote for us, but I also want to acknowledge the voters who didn't vote for us, because they still participated in this election. They voiced their concerns and they cast their vote. Those voices are still just as important as those votes who voted for other people for us or voted no confidence. For me, I still want to make sure that I can be a president for all students, not just the students who voted for Bold or whatever. I think it's important that we still hear those students out and learn how we can help them in their organizations and in their academic life.
Ultimately, the most important thing is that we're doing good work for the student body, and that's what I hope people take away and carry with them, that we are working on behalf of the students. We want to make sure that students at Ball State are having the best experience they can possible.
Obviously, now the campaigning is over. What's next?
Spring break.
We're all ready for that.
Yes. But also working on transition stuff. I'll have meetings with Cameron coming up. Everyone will have meetings with their respective current officers to start to understand how we move into their positions next year.
Next, the week following spring break, we actually have a current slate meeting with the elected slate. So we'll be going over all of the transition processes, as well as just meeting with our individual people, just to really make sure that we're understanding in full what they do and then what we will be doing on top of that as well.
Okay, and I want to go down the line here. For each of you guys, what is one word you would use to describe this election cycle, and one word you hope that will describe your slate once you guys leave office in a year?
Sorry,
I had to get deep there.
This process has been crazy, to say the least. I guess that would be my first word to describe this, but I think powerful would be the second word, because we want to make a powerful difference within Ball State and improve Ball State as a whole.
For me, this entire campaign, kind of going off that though too, has been wild. Just everything that's gone on has just been wild, and I've said that to everyone, but it's been wild.
Has it been wild?
It's it's been wild. So, word to describe our slate coming up. This is cheesy, but bold.
I was just going to say that.
I'm going to say bold because, we have stuck through it this entire campaign and through working to create these platform points and working to get out the vote. We have been a bold slate, making things happen and talking to people that may or may not agree with us, but we want to make sure that we can be a bold slate for all students on campus.
It's been a whirlwind. All of our words are very chaotic, but it's just, that's what it's been. There's been a lot going on. But I would say I want our legacy to be impactful. I want to make an impact and one that sticks, one that really lasts.
For our campaign season, I want to call it eye-opening, which is a little less chaotic. But while it was chaos in some parts, I do think that we learned a lot while campaigning. We heard a lot of different stories. We heard we did have just an entirely new outlook on SGA's relations with the students, with essentially any other person that SGA may be involved in. We learned a lot about how we might possibly rebuild that connection or fix the presence of SGA on the Ball State community. As far as our elected slate, I want to call us change. I think that's really important that we change the narrative of SGA's relations with the Ball State community in several different ways, not just with the students, but also with the administration. And I want our name to be on every poster, on every corner of the school, because when you visit other universities, you see so much of the work that student government does, and I think here we unfortunately just don't see that. So what I want to do is I really want to change the narrative of SGA as a whole and make it a more active body on campus.
Any final thoughts? Anything else that you guys want to add that maybe I missed? You guys just want to talk about?
Thanks for voting for us.
Thank you. It's been wild. Yeah. And I also want to say too that we don't want to go without thanking the other slates too for this incredible election. It has been a great time getting to know them and getting to hear about what their plans are for our university, and I just want to commemorate them for their efforts in wanting to better our university.
All right, and thanks again to BOLD for joining us, as well as Orem and Alliance, as well as the current SGA administration. BOLD will be inaugurated on April 15th in NewsLink, Indiana. We will, of course, be there. And that's going to do it for this NewsLink Indiana special. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tyler Brummett. Be sure to come back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock on our sister show, Waking Up with Cardinal Weather. NewsLink Indiana will also return to its normal schedule following spring break. Have a good night, everyone.